Hello everybody out there in Facebook land. Joe Mauceri here in the Pix 11 Social Media Center, and we are here to help you pick out some of the best bets in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And of course, we will help you with your bracket a little bit too, maybe with some sleepers. And to help us do that, we've got Jason Logan of Covers.com with us today. Jason, thanks so much for taking some time to be here.
Absolutely. This is the best time of the year. Let's get right to it.
So we're going to start with the local teams. We got a game going on tonight that a lot of people in New York care about. St. John's, the Red Storm, taking on Arizona State. Two big names for New Yorkers in the tri-state area in this one. Coach Bobby Hurley and coaching the Arizona State Sun Devils. And then, of course, we've got Chris Mullen over at St. John's. Right now, we've got the line at -2, Arizona State -2. It opened at -1, over-under of 153. So, Jason, who do you like in this one and why?
Yeah, this one here, well, the bettors right now love Arizona State, and that's why you're seeing this line move from -1 to -2, 60% of bets on the Sun Devils right now. And you can kind of see why. The Red Storm, they limped into the tournament here. They lost 4 of their last 5 games. They got blown out by Marquette in the Big East tournament. And defensively, they've been struggling a lot too, allowing over 80 points per game over their last 7. Now they face the Sun Devils team that likes to get up and down the floor. They're an athletic team, very, very long. They were playing some of their best basketball at the end of the year. Lost out to a red-hot Oregon team in the Pac-12 tournament. I think the big difference here is going to be on the boards. Arizona State, like I said, long and athletic. They like to hit the glass, pick up second chance points. The Red Storm, not that great at cleaning the glass, so I think it could be those second chance buckets that make the difference here. So I'm leaning Arizona State in this one.
When it comes to that number going from -1 to -2, how big of a move is that? Do you see any loss in value in there, or you think that bettors can bet confidently?
I think the big difference might be a couple extra cents on the money line. If you're just betting maybe the underdog to win outright, that'll be the biggest change in that one. Is if you're bothering with the 1 or 2 points, or if you're just going to take the underdog or the favorite to win outright. That's the big difference that you're going to see, is that change in the money line.
And that game is taking place in Ohio. Both of these teams, though, will be in the winner will be in the West bracket. How much does that play a role with this game being in Dayton?
It's the less time you want to travel, the less miles you can put on the odometer at this time of the year does help. Every little bit helps when you get to the big dance.
Excellent. And of course, we said they'll end up in the West bracket. Another game in the West bracket with a local team. We're looking at Syracuse University, number 8 in this bracket. They will be taking on number 9, Baylor. Syracuse comes into this one as the favorite, -2, over-under at 130.5 at last check. Late tip on the West Coast, so I don't know if the Syracuse fans will be staying up for this one. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one here, seeing a lot of one-sided action on the Orange, 74% of bets on Syracuse right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with Baylor backing into the NCAA tournament off 4 straight losses. This Baylor team, they're not a great shooting team. They match up against this Q zone, and Baylor does really rely on rebounding, and it is tough to rebound against a team that's set up in zone, packing the paint. I think that's going to be something that goes towards Syracuse's way. They also get Tyrus Battle back for this game too, which helps out with their scoring. The big thing, as you mentioned though, this is a late game for Syracuse. It's also in Salt Lake City where they're playing at a higher altitude, and Baylor runs an 8-man rotation. They go very, very deep. The Orange, they don't go too deep. You don't see too many minutes off the bench, so that could be something that plays into effect, is playing in the thin air in this altitude in Salt Lake City.
One thing that I noted in this matchup, 8-9 matchup we're talking about here, the underdogs actually 24, 12, and 3 in the last 8. So I'm curious, do you play on those trends at all?
I think you want to look at maybe more recent trends. There are some historic trends that you can kind of, maybe buy into. I always say they're kind of breadcrumbs. They might lead you in a particular direction if you're on the fence, but you just want to take in, current form, who the team is this year. There's so much turnaround in college basketball in terms of talent. I think coaching, if you're going to lean on any trends, you want to lean in like coaching style, stuff like that. That's there year to year, regardless of who the players are.
Well, when you say coaching style, Jim Boeheim has been good as an underdog, not so great as a favorite in the tournament. Also, they run the 2-3 zone at Syracuse. Not a lot of teams in college basketball do that. How big a factor do you see a defense like the 2-3 playing in a game in the first round of the NCAA tournament?
Well, like I said here, Baylor, it's a bad matchup for Baylor. They're not a great shooting team, and they do rely on getting those rebounds, and that's something that is tough to do against a zone defense. They pack that in. You got 3 guys around the paint, and they're easier to, it's easier to box out and grab that and get in transition. So I don't think Baylor's going to have a whole lot of success against them. But like I said, I'm worried about the altitude. I think it's going to be a factor.
All right, should be interesting. We shall see. Do you have a play in that one?
Yeah, I already bet on Baylor.
Okay, there we go. And then last local team we're looking at today in this Facebook Live here, Iona is minus 23 right now at last check. That line's been moving a little bit. Over under 166. Of course, Iona, the Gales, a 16 seed, fourth straight year in the tournament, taking on the juggernaut Tar Heels, though, in this one. All right, forget about win or lose, because we know that's not what it's about. Will the Gales cover the spread in this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because, like you said, they're at plus 23. This one actually opened with the spread UNC minus 25. 62% of bets on UNC right now. However, we're seeing the line move in the opposite direction. That reverse line move usually tells you that there's either bigger bets coming in on Iona or there's more respected wagers. Some of those professional guys that do this for a living betting on the Gales here. So that's why you're seeing that line move in the opposite direction as the consensus. So there are some smart people out there that think the Gales are worth a shot here.
I want to recap that for our viewers who might be listening. All right, when you're seeing a lot of bets going in one direction, but the bigger bets going in the opposite direction, that's what we consider sharp money in the business, yes?
Yeah, generally with this, what you take is a metric. So on covers, we have our covers consensus numbers, which actually shows you the percentage of bets on one side or the other. So in this particular matchup, you've got UNC garnering 62% of the bets. However, in a normal kind of setting, the line would move up. If there's more bets coming in on UNC, it should be up to minus 26 or minus 27. But what's happening is the line is actually shrinking. So what that tells you is there's smaller, more public wagers coming in on UNC. That's where that 62% is made up. But there's either bigger money coming in on Iona, or they've already received some sharp action from some wise guys in Vegas or now in New Jersey. They have an opinion on the Gales for this game, and that's why you're seeing this line come down instead of go up.
All right, speaking of big money, where should we be placing our big money? What's your best bet for the first round of the tournament?
Yeah, my big money, man. I got 3 kids. I don't bet big. I bet more for entertainment here more than anything. But I do have a couple plays on the board. I took Belmont, actually. They're a 3-point underdog facing up against Maryland. I took them to win outright. They're kind of everyone's favorite bracket darling this year. They got an at-large bid despite not winning their conference tournament, which says a lot for a mid-major program, but they score and they shoot well and they're big, which is what you don't see out of a lot of mid-major teams too. They're a big team. They're not going to get pushed around by the Terps, so I took them to win outright, plus 140 on the money line. And then I am an LSU fan, but fandom be damned. I am taking the Yale Bulldogs to cover that spread. It actually opened LSU -9. It came down all the way to -7.5. There's some coaching issues going on with the Tigers right now. Yale can score. This is not your Ivy League offense from the past. These guys can put up points. They average over 81 points per game. Very, very talented. Fantastic from beyond the arc. And I also played them to cover the first half spread too. So I got them +4 first half as well against the Tigers on Thursday.
We'll get into first and second half in a later series when we record this here. But I got a question right now on that Belmont pick. Belmont playing a play-in game here. We've seen success from those teams in the tournament. Why do you think that is? And do you think Belmont can have that continued success outright in this tournament?
I think specifically talking about Belmont, I think Belmont can have success because there was an 0-7 NCAA skid for them until they went off and beat the Temple Owls last night. So that monkey is off their back. Also, too, when you are a mid-major team, you've been sitting around since like the 10th of March. So you've been waiting around a little longer for these bigger conference tournaments to wrap. So good for them to get out, stretch the legs, get some of the jitters out as well too. I think that helps with the nerves. And they're not going to be, impressed or maybe, scared of a bigger not team as well too. They went into Purdue, played Purdue very, very tough this year. They also have a win at UCLA this year. So they're not scared of any power conference teams.
And, of course, they lost to Murray State in their conference championship game. Murray State, a popular pick, a 12 over a 5. We've seen that be a popular pick in a lot of our office pools. In fact, I believe it's 29 of 34 in the last 29 of 34 tournaments. 112 has beaten a 5, but you actually are going against that trend. Why is that?
Yeah, I think people are either getting wise to this trend or, the 5 seed has maybe a little more urgency in them now, taking on a 12. Over the last 3 years, we have seen 5 seeds go 9-3 straight up. So they're not losing at the rate that they were before. All 5 seeds advanced last year, so I think this is a trend that might be maybe losing a bit of its water, losing a bit of its weight.
So if it's not the 12 seed that we need in our office pool, who is a sleeper team that we should be looking at so that we can go brag to our coworkers when this dance is all said and done?
All right, so before we went on, you and I were talking about the Houston Cougars. We love the Houston Cougars because they are multifaceted. They're fantastic on defense. They're fantastic in transition. They're fantastic in a half-court set. I got to watch all of their AAC tournament games, which was great. And they're a tough team to handicap because you just don't know how they're going to win, but they win ball games here, and they're a 3 seed based out of the Midwest. And then another one I really like too are the Buffalo Bulls out of the MAC. The MAC champion's a 6 seed. Now this team is kind of unique because when you talk to odds makers and you get them when they're asking about setting the tournament futures, who's going to win the tournament, they say there are 2 metrics that they mainly consider. One is defensive efficiency, which is extremely important, especially when it comes down to Final Four teams. And the other thing is tempo. And there's only 3 teams that rank in the tops in both of those, defensive efficiency and tempo. One is Duke, one is North Carolina, and one is Buffalo. So they can score, they can shoot. I love CJ Massenberg. He puts up a ton of points. I think he's a guy to watch in this tournament. I like Buffalo as a sleeper here to maybe blow up some brackets.
Should be very interesting, and that's bad news for St. John's if they do win because, of course, the winner of that game tonight will go on to face Buffalo out west. Jason Logan of Covers.com, thank you so much for breaking down the bracket with us. Of course, you can check out all of his information and all those stats and figures he threw out for you over at Covers.com. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your brackets, everybody.